Okay, so this can be extended to in here. Right? So we don't hard code it that locators within the test class. That's the goal we're trying to achieve. So now rest of the items can be done the same way. Right? So one is what are you trying to do here? Same is this also. Right, get type by CSS. Get text, enter it, get input. So these methods, it can be also implemented in here. So speed up this. So write a method out of those three. Public to type on input search, right? And then call it here. So type on inputs, no, type by CSS, right? I will do rest later on. And then one second, I'm back. So what is this? It's an array. So now somehow we need to pass that. So it takes list of string array, right? Which is data. So for string item into data, but I don't get. Okay, so it's it was more for loop, right? This for loop, not for each. So we're gonna call this. Okay, so once we do this, we pass the data, right? So we call this into this. So you can remove those three items, right? Comment this out for now in case we need it. So it can do the same thing or not. Let's try. So we're going to call this method, right? And it's going to get those items. The items you get, fine. So if you return these 50 items, right? With the 50 items here, okay. And then we will see that if this method call or not. Let's try that. All right, so we got 50 items of data here. Type all the buttons, okay. Something wrong here, right? We going to do that. Because running for loop here that is doing, we're supposed to call other methods, right? So start while loop. Let's remove it. It means we can call here input. We can call also clear box, right? So that way we don't have to call there anymore. Yeah, we didn't call it here, fine. Okay, let's try again. Time. I don't know what is this message coming from the warning. We have to see. Yes, is the idea to do is to make it cleaner code to easily maintain, all this making the standard code. All right, get finish here. Okay, so you can even refactor more. If this is doing it for you, I probably don't have to run this anymore. Right, so sleep can be there. Input clear. Well, without sleep, let's see, right? And now this one, we don't need this pretty much. You want to simplify as possible your test classes, test methods. So now see that. Well, let's see if it works properly as we want it to. Okay, go inside of it, and then we keep doing it. So no delay, this is like doing very quickly, right? We remove that sleep. Oh, it failed. Went too fast, maybe. Alright, so you can add some delays there if you want. Once you type So once we add sleep method, we have to use throw interpreter exceptions. Okay, so hopefully it will work. So what we try to do here is, this is not a paste factory model, but we don't want to hard code all these locators here or reading text for within the test class. In the test class, we want to make simpler as possible, as cleaner as possible. So in the main directory of Java, where we will outline that drop-down menu page class, that will do the work for you, which is getting the text for you, right? From the we call that common API method. It will get all the items for you, and it will type for you and sleep, clear, everything this class is doing for you. So we can extend common API to this class, and this class can be extended to this test class. So you have to create an instance. So now, once you read that, text can be passed, and simply call that method that is doing all the steps. So before we had like few lines of code, right? We had like whole methods doing everything here. Instead of doing it here, we're doing it in another class. Does it make sense? Guys? Is it clear? Yes? It's clear for everyone? Paul, Une, and Hussein, Robert had a problem with the page model before. This is not page model. This is the way to clear your test classes. So you're creating another layer of classes, right? So another layer of classes, we put it here on the drop-down menu page. Okay. This one, let me see. So this page factory, look into it. This is for another one login, right? Rename this. Okay, so we know this for login stuff, even though it has search. You can ignore this one. This is a long time ago written, but this is the one which is current. Book, not doing anything, remove that. Alright, this is the one that we are working on. So you want to make as clear as possible, right? Drop-down menu search. That's the goal. Any questions, guys? We don't want to output in all these locators here. No test class should have any locators. Locators could be in the main Java. So we'll go back. Let's try take a look. So if you see set up the framework. This is the generic module. All right. Come on. It's not easy to draw things. Let's click the mouse first. Alright, the mouse is better to draw. This is our generic module, right? Where you have all the APIs to launch browser and other things. All the Selenium APIs pretty much implemented here. And then another layer you have is different applications. Amazon, CNN, New York Times, eBay, Facebook, Twitter, so on. So this is all applications. This is, let's say, Amazon, right? No. This is Amazon. The entire thing is Amazon, right? Okay. This whole module is Amazon. So in Amazon, it's two directory, right? We saw in Amazon has two directories. Under source, you have a main, you have a test. So in the main directory, both has the Java directory, right? Of course, you should have Java there. So under this Java, you want to outline everything is maybe Page Factory or if you want to read data from Excel file, this class can talk to the Excel reader, which is in the generic. This can talk to generic. So your test class don't have to. Your test class don't have to read directly to generic module. It can do through another layer of classes, right, which is right here, right? Well, this is a perfect example. Sorry, this class. So drop-down menu, it's not directly contracting with the common API. It's doing it through drop-down menu page. In drop-down menu, where you outline everything, which is all the steps of test, right? Type. First, you get a text for the menu, then you type, you input, clear, sleep, clear, all the steps you do. In here, you do pretty much more high level of okay, read me text, then type it. But to read it, you need many steps, right? But we are not including all the steps. How to read the menu? So this method will take care of it, and this method could be part of this class. Now to type items into the input box, that takes a lot of steps. So first you grab the array and fetch one by one items. You enter there, you hit enter buttons, and you clear the inputs, sleep for a few seconds. All these steps, this method will take care of it, right? So we don't want to outline all the steps here. Rather, this class will do the steps. So you call that method part of this class, and that will do the heavy lifting works for you. Same way we saw this class is reading from Excel. This class is reading from this class is reading from database, right? So this is not a good example. This also could be part of another layer, which is it could be here. So you can refactor this. That hey, talking to database, that can be done here actually. That can be done here. Okay. So this item don't have to extend Common API anymore. You can extend another class. So over here, maybe page factory is fine. Page factory is fine. You can create another class by saying, hey, data source for search object. So that class can be extended to here. So the goal, what I'm trying to explain to you is, main Java is where you do either page factory or do all the data source work, either connecting database or data source, Excel, or any locators need to be outlined. Everything could be in the main Java. So page factory, we saw just one class we created. You could, if you need to create another class in order to for data source, do that. Right now we're doing data source in the test. That is, you don't have to, right? This is another layer we can make. We are saying connect database. We don't want to do that. We want to create another class here and do the connection there and data to be read it. So once you do that, it will be only one line instead of two lines. Or even though you can also simplify this even. So instead of how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line, you can make it to one line. So one method could be there under a class. So simply going to do page factory and do the steps, search method. So you can replace all the 6 lines of code into one method with one line. So that could be part of this main Java. Could be in the same package or different package, doesn't matter. This is the perfect example of what we did. We created another method. We created another class called drop-down menu page, right? And it's doing it for you. Same way you can do for connect to database, connect to Excel, so on. You can do it here. So test class, test directory have under Java have all the packages with simplified possible all the classes like as simple as possible. And this shouldn't be here. Type by CSS is part of Common API. All right, you can ignore this one. Remove this one actually. Delete. Okay. So the next thing you need to refactor this. Create another class here somewhere and get it from there. So in the test directory, you have all the test cases which simple as possible, and no locators or connecting database steps should be here. This could be part of this under main Java. Go back to this point. So in Amazon, you have a two directory. One is main Java, right? One is test. In the test class, we outline everything that is possible. Well, this should be the other way. We should connect to test. Well, this is main. How do you remove this? Okay, good. All right. So this should be the main, right? Directory. This is the test directory. So the main directory will talk to the generic module. It will talk to generic module if you need to do any. Generic has few things, right? Generic has utility classes. It has common API. All this you can have more classes, and if you need to, but main will talk to generic, and test directory will talk to the main directory, not directly to generic. You don't have to. The same way for CNN, for others, do the same thing. Test directory, main directory, right? Test, main, test, main. So as many module, right? As many module as you want to create. Number of modules. Could be n number of modules, means n number of applications you can work with if you follow this framework design pattern. So this is Amazon, CNN, New York Times, so on. You can add as many modules as you possible, right? You need. So generic can grow as you need. Generic is not specific to any applications at all. This is your specific application. So in the test we saw, so in the test directory it will supply, hey, I need this URL. I need to, so in the test directory, if you open up, under test resources, you outline, hey, you want to use this Chrome browser with this version, with the Amazon. Just mute it. Just mute it. Okay. So in the test resources, we outline everything we need, which browser to load, what version of that, what URL you want, right? So test will supply those information, and you outline what class test to run, and this class can talk to another class. It will extend to another class which is under main Java, right? This is what you're trying to do here, right? To show you here. So test will supply this information. Hey, I need to launch with the browser Chrome with version that with this URL, and it will pass that information to generic. So it's a top to bottom process, right? So test will supply those informations, set of data, and generic will prepare for the environment for you, and then you see the browser is launched, right? Browser is launched, and you see the activities of browsers, right? So browser, you write pretty much all the steps. You see the test outputs. If you have to connect to Sauce Lab or everything, generic is doing for you, right? If the CNN is Amazon, the same code we are using for generic connecting database, launching browsers. So the purpose of framework is to simplify your development process, to reuse your code, and to be more flexible, right? That's the purpose of having framework. If you don't have this framework, think about it. You have to write generic a few times for different applications. If you don't have the generic module, what you have to do? You have to go see this. If you don't have the generic, you have to write multiple times, right? So since we build this, we can reuse for n number of applications. N means could be one to many, right? Since we build the generic, so you can reuse this APIs throughout the applications. So generic is not built, it's decoupled process, right? It's not tied to only one application. It can serve many applications. And keep that in mind. It's specific to applications, right? This is Amazon specific things, right? This is CNN specific module, main Java. This is New York Times main module. This is specific to New York Times. This is specific to CNN. This is specific to Amazon, so on. I hope this is clear. Questions? Yes, assertion should be added. Assertion should be So you can assert there too if you want. So once you do, once you say, okay, once you search for items, right, you go to that page. All right, once you go to baby page, you want to assert, can you see this image? Can you see this different categories of feature, right? Can you see that? So you can write to assert methods to verify this. So another assert method can be, to verify that, or you can simply write it here. Input. You can assert here, right? Assert written could be here. Oh, why caps? So assert could be here. Questions, Paul? Right.
Unmuted.
Yeah. Let's explain about what the role you're going to face here. So with this framework, this is not the only absolute framework that you'll face. There'll be more sophisticated framework in the market. Framework, it takes months to a year or many years to design for a large organization. We're trying to learn within a few weeks. Now, if you understand one framework, you can, even though it's more complicated one, if you face in the market, you can work with it, since you have the training mindset that how to build a framework. So now we're building it from scratch. We're learning how to build a framework from scratch, right? With different modules and all this, with the Maven. So if you learn one way to do it, in the market you will face less complicated one, not that sophisticated, or you may find more sophisticated one, more complex one, more higher standard one you might see. Now, if you learn at one framework, it's like this is one way to do. There's a better way to do it, and even less easier to do it. But if you learn one way to do it, we can, if we given a task K, use a existing framework that someone else designed, work with it. You go, join the company and work in a team. You slowly learn that framework. It takes time, weeks, months. It will take. But if you have skills, how to build a framework, you can, you can work with that framework since you have the skills. If you don't have one, then it's going to be hard. So what we're trying to learn here is building from scratch. And then once you have skills, you're going to add more on this, more features, and you're going to refactor more slowly. These skills, you can utilize it to learn the new other frameworks you're going to face. Now, once you join, the possibilities is you may have to build from scratch. You are the one brand new automation team there, maybe. There are people who join, don't have automation framework yet. You're the one who has to build it. Fine, this is one scenario. Another scenario is they have some sort of automation, but through automation, you have to have framework, you have to part of CI/CD pipeline. It may not be there. So if they have some sort of code, but it's not, you see that can be improved, then you introduce your ideas that, hey, this can be done better way. You show them. So you can take this framework sort of template, right? So remove Amazon CNN, generic stay the same, right? So if you copy this framework, just simply introduce them. If you join company X, you name your module X, and you build that some of the test cases and show them this is better, it can be done. Another scenario could be that you join a company that already have, super, standard hire, standard framework, sophisticated framework already built. Now you have to contribute on it. So then you slowly learn their framework, how they design and what features they have, and keep adding new test cases. Since already they have the framework, so now not much to do in the heavy lifting work, but more I would say more time you're spending is writing more test cases. So you just go to any specific applications and just keep writing test cases and keep adding some another layer of methods and page factories, so on. So it depends where you end up, right? But if you learn one way to do it, if you learn at least end of the course, everyone should build from scratch and different design patterns. This is design patterns, right? Payload model, data-driven, keyword-driven. Once you get familiar with this, we can tackle anything we face in the market. So that's the goal, to learn or build a framework. So now, depend where you end up, we don't know. So whatever the situation is, make sure you can tackle that. Yes, I mean, what I'm saying that ready to go means that there's a team already who already been working last few years on the framework, and you don't want to replace that because they've been working few years on that project, on the framework. There's no point to replace it, right? If it's really good one. So what you can do, you can just keep adding more test cases, or if you need to improve, you can improve that. If you think can be refactored, few things can be added, new nice features, you do that, you make it improve. And if you face that this is already in the standard level, so just keep adding test cases. No problem. Questions? Oh, it's 12:37. Yeah, go for lunch. Extend those from root pom. So that's what we did. In generic, we outlined this. We don't mention that version of it. We mention in the root pom the version of Apache PY, MongoDB, TestNG, so on. In the root pom, we don't say that. We simply say these are the list of dependencies we need. Once you get it from root pom, generic now become dependency source. So now Amazon and CNN can extend from this generic. Whatever generic get from root, those two modules can get it. This is what we did in this Amazon POM. We don't say anymore TestNG or TestNG or Apache POI or MongoDB. We call it generic only. Generic produces snapshot one, and we can grab all the dependency from generic. If you go Amazon, dependency is generic. But if you expand the generic, now you see Selenium server, client driver, TestNG, MongoDB, Apache POI. But Amazon only directly knows generic. Those dependency it knows through the generic. It doesn't make direct connection to the root POM. It does through the generic. So another point is I was trying to make that it not only manages dependencies, but you can also run your test. So maybe one part Maven is doing for you, managing its dependencies. Another part is it's a life cycle of Maven can help you to manage your project. So you can run test, right? Or application that need to write unit test, another thing. So test part can help to run your test. Install, can produce some snapshot, and you can deploy your application. So developers, they don't worry about automation test. They worry about how to make a snapshot and deploy this to the server. So this is not only dependency management, but also project management tools. Those are two main goals for Maven. In automation tester, you're not deploying to it, but you're using for dependency management and test lifecycle, right? So you're not using deploy, but you use up to install. So more about, you can use test runner and dependency management, but developer use the entire lifecycle, which is to deploy your applications. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, Mafi, but it's clear, very clear.
Very clear? Okay.
Yes.
Hartman, you're saying Maven plugins in Amazon is where you can run your test. So we saw we've been running tests locally mostly. Open your browser, it opens the browser, Chrome or Firefox, right? We saw that. So your machine, the operating system, Windows or Mac have these browsers. So you don't maintain many browsers for you. You don't, right? You just one or two versions you have. And you don't have many devices, which is Mac from 10 to, Mac have 4 or 5 different versions of Mac. Windows could have 4 different XP, Windows 7, and 8.1, and so on. If you have the client, we're using Windows XP still, right? So to run your test cases in different clients, different operating system, it's not convenient to run it locally. That's why you need to have some services that can offer.
So basically, it's a cloud-based platform that offers cross-browser and cross-platform testing?
Yes.
Okay.
So it can offer that services, right? So it has different OS, different operating system, different browser versions that they can support, and it can run it there. One thing is, once you write your code, deploy to GitHub, right? This is your GitHub. And then you have Jenkins set up here. So once you say, okay, run periodic time, run at a specific time, you can run it. It will grab the code from GitHub. And then it can run, hey, I'm running source lab. It will run to source lab. So this local, you don't need anymore. Everything is automated now, right? Once development is done, framework is done, ready, this whole process is automated, right? Those. The entire thing is it's part of CI/CD pipeline. So that can choose the browser stack or source lab. This is the important part, guys. Once you develop this, it's one of the repository, and Jenkins will fetch, and it will say, okay, where am I running? You can configure Jenkins with different browsers, but usually it's not easy to do it, but you need people to maintain it. Let's buy a service, source level and browsers to offer that. And this nice thing is it's record entire test cases you run. It also gives you the JavaScript console error if it goes wrong. So you can go back and watch where it fails and why it fails and what is the error message and so on. It's a nice thing to have services like source level browser stack. So once you push your code, once you set up Jenkins, you don't have to worry. You can go, few months vacation. Your framework will take care of that. So this is the idea. Once you build once human being write the code, your code will take care of that process. right? You can go to vacation, right, for a few months if you're solid that no changes have been will make. And for regression test, uh, you have thousands of test cases written. If developers are committing, the new builds come without measure any changes with the locators and workflow. This framework will be taken care of. That's the idea, right? For regression test, automation test is important. If it's a new features, then of course you provide those new feature test cases. Otherwise, this CI CD pipeline is this continuous integration will help you to run test against that new build. That's the purpose to have automation. And also you can reduce. See, once you build by 5 different people, right? This framework, thousands of test cases, you don't need the manual tester anymore. To replace manual, well, don't say in the job. There's an interview. There's a lot of managers, QA managers still they don't have automation experience. They're doing manual. If you say them to replace manual, they get offended. I saw. You said you tell them automation is a complement of manual. In a sense, there's a lot of the redundant test that manual tester is doing. It helps them out, and automation also quickly give feedback. You can quickly run test and give feedback to the team. This complement manual system. But the goal is slowly eliminate manual tester, eliminate manual resources. It's quick and it can cut down some manual tester, right? But don't tell in the interview yet. Tell them it's complement of manual tester, and it's a quick process for the regression test. It's pretty quick. For manual, see, think about Amazon.com, millions of data they have, and if they have to rely on manual test cases, how many days you need it deployed to production environment? How many days? How many people need it? It's a lot, isn't it? Many features here. So if you can automate that, it can run a few hours, or maybe yes, few hours or 1 hour if you run parallelly in different machine, different test cases. It could be down to an hour. So I met one of the test developer in Amazon, and she told me she's the head of Amazon test team. So they have 100,000 test cases. They also compare the screens. They have one screen baseline and compare that with new one. So 100,000 test cases. To do manual tester, you need a lot of people and many days. And automation is helping for you that. It can run throughout the day. Once build a framework, it can run every day, many times, and within a couple of hours, we can get that out, the result, test reports, and you can deploy that. Right. So automation is really helpful. Okay, any other question?
Okay, and Mafi Bhai, to end all of it, Jenkins is basically to schedule a task.
Yes. So Jenkins is mostly for continuous integration, and since developers are heavily using this to build their project, to build their applications, automation tester can be involved with this to assign a task in Jenkins task to run a framework right automatically. Yeah, pretty much task to run framework.
What was that last part? It what does what?
So Jenkins, you can schedule task to run it, right? So if you want to run a framework, when to run, and where to run, all this can be done by Jenkins. So whenever the build trigger comes from developer, we saw that if you have it up. build after other projects are built. That is, it could be developer build when it's complete, and their unit testing pass, so it's stable build, then they can run your test. So you see, this kind of features you don't have in other tools that can offer. They can offer that, right? Either run at a specific time or run every hours or midnight. That is periodic run. That's outline depending on what. If you read this, it will give you that idea. So run at periodic time or run after other build is complete, which is the developer build. So Amazon developers, they write their applications, they commit, and once the build is successful, right, for the unit testing and all other integration testing done, then you want to run end-to-end testing. So this, of course, this Amazon is deployed in server. So maybe once that install of Amazon application produce a snapshot, so you can now run against that build. So that build is say, okay, go to Amazon.com. So instead of saying Amazon.com, you'll say beta, right? Beta.amazon.com or staging, right? So it's a new environment before you go to production. So you're going to run against this build. So you run all the tests, everything is fine. You run all the regression tests by your framework. If it's a green signal, then they'll push that build to the production, and that production becomes this, and then user can come and take a look or do whatever they have to do. So your team has to be confident that yes, we can deploy it to the production now. So you're gonna do first gap environment or staging, whatever the system they have. So first you're gonna test there, all the same features, and then you're gonna go to production. That's the purpose of having framework. That's the purpose of Jenkins. Once they build new, once developer are build is complete, they send a signal, hey, we have a new build from that team, let's run it against that build.
Okay, Mafi Bhai, can I just repeat to you just so I can know if I know it for sure right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, Maven manages dependencies like MongoDB, Selenium Server, TestNG, Selenium, the Java, and it can also be used it's basically a project management tool, and has the life cycle of it can enhance the testing. It can run tests, deploy new features, and installs dependencies. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, and Sauce Labs, basically where you can run your tests, and it's a cloud-based platform that that offers for multi-platform, multi-operating system platforms and cross-browser testing.
Yes.
Basically, okay. And Jenkins is for continuous integration,
Yeah.
and basically just schedules your tests.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Read some PDF. We're going to read PDF document of Maven, of Jenkins, and so on. It'll have more information, details. But in summary, that is yes.